I'm here to chill and talk about AEW and talk about WrestleDream. The
Ooh.
dream pay-per-view that we've all been waiting for our entire lives.
Yeah,
It
just
is certainly a dream with all these dream matchups. There's one dream matchup. I don't know about the rest of the show, but we have one dream matchup.
I'd call it two. I call it two. Shibata versus Kingston, because
Eh,
Kingston asked for it,
right.
and FTR versus Aussie Open is also pretty good.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, it's going to be, as underwhelming as the show is. I think it's still going to be an awesome card. I mean, Tony always delivers on his pay per view. We're going to see great wrestling. The MJF matchup. I mean, you got your ROH, you got your heavyweight champion MJF tied up in an ROH tag titles match against two guys I literally don't even know who their names are, and it's just questionable booking from that standpoint. However, with all the shenanigans going on, the guy in the devil mask, it's all anyone can talk about is what's going to happen in this underwhelming matchup that's going to be super interesting because of the storyline that TK is bringing to the table here.
Now, speaking of storyline, let's get some guesses because this is a prediction. First and foremost, Scott, welcome to the show. Who do you think is under the mask? That is the topic of conversation.
Well, you did say the guy under the mask, but it could be Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Why do you say?
Well, I saw an Easter egg a while back, a photo from about a month ago that showed Adam Cole and MJF next to each other in sort of like almost like a locker room situation. But there was that mask hanging up on some sort of a peg behind Adam Cole next to some of his Bay gear. So I am wondering whether that, so obviously Dr. Britt Baker could have access to that. You know, the
Sure.
person did the person who was in the mask looked fairly slim.
Yes.
Didn't really look burly.
Definitely did not look like Wardlow.
No.
Didn't look like it. Thank you, Jay. The courtesy laugh was great. It wasn't MJF. MJF is much bulkier now. There's a
Hmm.
lot of people it absolutely was not. It could have been Adam Cole, but you're right. It very well could have been Britt Baker. Jay, who do you think might have been under the mask? Do you think
I
it was
think
Stokely Hathaway and it's the reformation of the firm?
I think it was clearly famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan is coming to take on AEW and MJF and win the title and bring dick wrestling and dick flips to the mainstream.
Well,
My money is on Joey Ryan, and
okay,
under the masks include Marty Skrull,
I knew it.
Jimmy Havoc,
Yep.
and let's see who could the other two. Marty Jannetty is one of the other guys, and let's go with
A
Matt
returning
Riddle.
punk. A returning. Oh
Riddle.
no, Riddle's
It's
a
going to
good
be
one.
Riddle.
There you go.
Riddle is going to join the crew. He's going to work for Joey Ryan, who's going to be the next AEW Heavyweight Champion. So that's my pick. But seriously, I think my money would be on Adam Cole right now because the dude looked small. Like Adam Cole is smaller than Britt Baker, and I think that the guy that had the mask on was too big to be Britt. So I think that it was Adam Cole, all 162 pounds of him. So that's
So
my
what is
guess.
the motive? So storyline wise, help me out here. What is the motivation for that attack if you are either Dr. Brett Baker, DMD, or Adam Cole? What's the motivation behind that? How does that make sense in the context of story and how it may evolve?
I'll go ahead and
Scott,
answer that. I'll go ahead and answer that. Yeah, absolutely. So, how does it make sense if it's Britt Baker who's coordinating an attack against Jay White? And I assume starting a war against the BC against Bullet Club Gold.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay White was in a verbal altercation with MJF. MJF is best friends and tag champions with Adam Cole, her baby, Baby.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense if Britt Baker somehow were coordinating behind the scenes for Adam because now he's injured. So he's going to be out for who knows how long. Why is there even question about how injured Adam Cole is? I've never seen this. It's a legit injury that happened in front of us. They've shared x-rays. Not a single person is saying, without a doubt, it's a full injury. Everybody has just a slight bit of doubt. Why?
I think he oversold it in the ring when he was sitting down with Max and he talked about, his
Exploded.
his ankle was broke. His ankle exploded and it's broken in 3 places. And oh gosh, I'm gonna need surgery. And I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to turn over the titles, And of course, Max going like, no, can't do that. But it just seemed like he oversold it. And if you saw how his leg was wrapped, it was almost absurdly wrapped.
It was a walking cast, is what they called it.
Okay, fine, but I don't. It was just too suspiciously non-medical looking for me.
Here's the thing. First and foremost, I 100% think he hurt his ankle. Absolutely 100% hurt his ankle. That was not a planned jump. There were 2 people that got hurt, 3 people that got hurt jumping from that fucking stage.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of that stage first and foremost. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But look, if he had broken his ankle in 3 places, there's no way he could have maneuvered himself.
Just to jump in, I got to disagree with that because Punk destroyed his ankle when he did that springboard, and he was walking around that ring afterward, and he was favoring his ankle less than Cole was.
All right, so adrenaline
I do need to throw that out there.
Adrenaline is a bitch. Adrenaline is a bitch. I've experienced it. At the same time, I can say an ankle injury, yes, he absolutely oversold it. An ankle injury is going to hurt. It's going to hurt bad, but it doesn't necessarily have to be as bad as it feels. That's the thing is when he said his ankle exploded and it shredded his ligaments, that sounds like a doctor giving a worst case scenario. But luckily, this is what actually happened. I've been to a doctor enough times. I've had enough traumatic experiences and broken bones. I've heard, oh man, just a couple inches to the left, you would have died. Oh man, I'm glad you got here. You were nearly dead because of this. How many times do you have to hear that before you go, oh, this is what they say every time it's severe? So maybe Adam Cole is overselling it. Maybe. Great. He comes back in 4 to 6 weeks, surprises everyone. They can sort of maneuver for that length of time. What if it's real? JV, what if it's real and he's out for 9 months again? What do they do?
I think if it's fake and this whole thing is a work, it would be possibly the greatest work in wrestling history as far as an injury goes. Like if he's fine and this whole thing was a work, like that would be fucking brilliant. It would be so brilliant. And it would be almost like if you remember Daniel Bryan. Jesus, I said it wrong. if Bryan Danielson, remember Bryan Danielson got his leg stuck between that fucking cursed ramp in the ring.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was all a work.
He sold it. He sold it like crazy.
Yeah.
But so he's a master.
What if Bryan and Cole were talking and we're like, hey, why don't we do this? And then Cole, you can pretend you're hurt, and then you can fucking double cross MJF after leaving him to get his ass kicked by 2 guys for the tag titles. Still, I don't quite understand how, beating the shit out of Jay White ties into it. But I mean, that's just, that kind of makes me think like, what if that was David Finlay, the leader of Bullet Club Japan? That did it. Like that would make sense.
So that ties into WrestleDream.
Yeah. If the original Bullet Club is going to, the real Bullet Club is going to show up
right.
at WrestleDream, which they're not, I don't think, because New Japan has another show they're probably booked for. So I think what's awesome about this whole thing is there's a lot of speculation. Mm-hmm. It seems like there's infinite possibilities, and I don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, I mean, I'm just looking forward to see what comes out of this because it's good shit.
Well, one last thing. If this is really a real 9-month injury, okay, I'm not sure it's sustainable for MJF to just do handicap matches to retain the ROH belts. You know, doing
No,
it once or twice, I could see happening with the right folks on the other side. But there's no way you could keep that up for 9 months.
He's also got his single stuff to take care of.
Right. But then again, MJF heard him say, "I'm going to need surgery," and MJF is like, "That's okay. I'm going to defend these titles." So MJF's view may be, "I don't care. I don't care how long it is. I can do this. I'm awesome." But from like, if you step back outside the storyline and you look at reality a little bit, at some point that's not going to work. So I think that leads to the idea that it's not a 9-month injury. They can sell it as long as they can reasonably sell it.
Right.
But yeah, but here's the thing. If he's going to have surgery, he's going to be gone. So my guess is this is a work, and we're going to see before too long a big turn, and it will have been a brilliant piece of work.
So you're saying ultimate. See, here's the thing. It could be a worked shoot, which I think is ultimately what's actually happening. He hurt his ankle. Legit.
Yeah, this is lemon. Yeah, this is what Chris Jericho would call a happy accident.
Yeah.
Or what I would call turning lemons into lemonade.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he legit hurt his ankle. He hobbled around. He finished the segment. He went and got checked out, and it was bad. It was a super bad sprain, or maybe he strained it. Whatever it is, he's going to work through it. It's going to take a little bit. He'll be okay in a couple of weeks, 4-6 weeks. That's fine for a wrestler. He can clearly still come on TV and still work promos and still work the angles. So there's no loss there. Half of Adam Cole's appeal is his promo. So no loss there. He and Max are great together.
And they only have to defend the ROH belts once a month.
Right, basically. Well, I mean, if you go with the 30-day thing, but realistically, It could stretch out even longer. How many times was the trios belt wrestled for? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
So,
but we're not going to have. My biggest fear was that they were going to have interim ROH champions. I'm like, no, don't do that.
No, I don't think Tony's ever going to do that ever again. Oh my god.
Hopefully. Yeah, I think that MJF. If Cole's legit hurt, I wouldn't be surprised if MJF loses the tag belts to the Righteous, and then the Righteous go back to ROH and aren't seen again on AEW TV.
That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help anybody.
Well,
but if it's not the Righteous, if it's the Kingdom.
Yeah, it sets up MJF for the single feuds with Jay White, which is going to headline the Full Gear pay-per-view, which is up next, right?
I believe so.
So they're going to move, and if Cole has to go out for surgery, maybe he'll come out with MJF in the wheelchair, and they'll still be best bros. Kind of like the Acclaim did when they were hurt.
Britt Baker for a long time.
Yeah. Bret Hart was in a wheelchair for like 8 years in WWE, complaining about the screw job.
So when's the next time we see Jay White after this beatdown? Obviously a big cliffhanger, right? When is the next time we're going to see him, do you think?
Well,
probably next week on Dynamite. They didn't put his head through a dumpster or anything.
It was a beatdown. I don't see him on WrestleDream.
No.
And so, he might be on Collision. I doubt it. He'll probably skip Collision this week and probably be back on the big Dynamite show next week. Because you got to remember, not only do we have WrestleDream, but that same day, Tony has announced there's some big thing, as always. Then you got the Dynamite 4-year anniversary coming up next week. Collision.
That'll be a big show.
It will. Collision exists. And you have the potential of Mercedes Moné and or Adam Edge Copeland showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And possibly whatever that announcement is and whatever repercussions that may have. Could it be streaming? Could it be buying New Japan? Could it be... Who knows what it could be? There's so many rumors at this point. There's so much buzz Sure.
Is New Japan for sale?
There was a
No,
talk where it's not doing super well.
I don't think New Japan is for sale, but I do think that there's rumors that Tony's going to buy it. There's also rumors that WWE is trying to buy Noah, which would just be a horrific travesty that would almost kill me. But yeah, I mean, there's talk of Tony could probably buy out New Japan if he wanted to. If he's like, hey guys, here's 100 mil.
Well,
I don't think
Robert
he has a
Robert in the chat broke it all down, and
yeah,
it's really not a big expense for Tony.
right, right.
If
Yeah, I
he,
mean,
Is
they're
there,
only
a,
making.
is there a library? Is there a library?
oh yeah,
There is. There's New Japan World is their streaming service. Yep.
they have a huge
Ooh.
library. Yeah, absolutely, it could be worth it if he's doing his
Yeah.
streaming deal, and he just.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily good for wrestling.
Well, but imagine
No,
a place where
it's
you
not.
can see ROH classics and
I
New
get
Japan.
it, but
Okay.
all this consolidation is not necessarily good. Now, that being
no.
said, there's also talk of Triple H being maneuvered out. So I say, because of everything that's gone on with Vince and everything else, Triple H leaves WWE, Tony hires him, puts him in charge of New Japan.
Oh God.
And there
Oh
you
my
go.
God.
That's like two super unlikely events. A, that Tony buys.
3.
B, that Triple H. Yeah, 3. B, that Triple H leaves, and C, that Triple H signs with AEW.
Of
so
all places.
Triple H would need to dump his stock probably before he did that.
Oh yeah.
If he wanted to compete against his own wealth. So
Oh, they're
that's if
And
that's if
but
Steph even,
his wife would still have plenty of stock, though.
yeah, but the talk is that Steph and Triple H are getting divorced, and that's why
That's
they're
why.
talking him leaving.
That's why.
I don't know if you heard
Really?
that. Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Ugh.
trouble in paradise. So
Wow.
Well,
So-
I mean, he's still working after his heart attack. She's pissed about that. She's like, look, I want to focus on the family. Okay, dad left finally. I'll take over the company business. Oh, he's back again. I'm out. And you've not heard anything from her.
yeah,
Triple
I mean,
H needs to quit. His heart needs it.
one of the things I heard that was Triple H. I heard that Triple H was hooking up with Jade Cargill,
Oh, God.
and because she reminded him of China. Steph just wasn't getting it done. So I mean,
Ugh.
You're a sick and twisted man, Jay.
hey, that's just what I read. Don't shoot the messenger.
Oh, where did you read it? 4chan? Freaking
No,
wrestle
8chan.
crap? 8chan, yeah, even better. You found it on Rule 42. All right, let's talk about this pay-per-view. How about that? As a matter of fact, this pay-per-view has 5 title matches. 3 are AEW. 2 are ROH. I happen to be really excited. Let's talk about maybe the number 1 match of the night. Probably going to be the best rated segment of the night. Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart. I think it's absolutely going to be a phenomenal match. Julia Hart had the number 1 match last night on Dynamite. She really did. Ratings came out. She probably got the top rating segment. She's crushing it. Jay, you keep laughing. You don't like her?
No, I like Julia Hart for sure.
You're a Julia Hart hater. I can hear it.
I am not. No, I even was saying, like, I was at StarCast and I met Julia Hart, and out of all the House of Black, she was the only one I paid to get the signature and do the meet and greet with, because I
Wow.
like Julia Hart.
Okay.
And so I go up to Julia. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, what's up? And I'm like, can you do, so she signed her 8x10, and I'm like, so hey, for our picture, can you do the Dark Order symbol? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh, come on. I'm like, do it for Anna. And she's like, what? I'm like, remember you and Anna had that YouTube video where
Right.
Anna was making fun of you for doing the cheerleader stuff, and you made fun of Anna for doing the with the Dark Order symbol. And she's like, oh my God, yeah. And she just started laughing like really hard. And she's like, that video like went viral too. And I was like, yeah, like I love that video. So she was doing the Dark Order symbol for our picture, and we were both laughing because it was just funny. And she did the whole head bob she did in the video, and it was great. It was one of my favorite meet and greets at the show. So I am definitely a Julia Hart fan because she has a good sense of humor, unlike some of the guys over there. So I'm looking forward to Julia Hart Statlander. I hope Julia wins. I think she'd look great with the title. I think House of Black needs some more gold. They're not going to win the trios titles back anytime soon, but
What's your
I'm a Julia
prediction?
Hart fan.
What's your prediction?
Oh, I haven't thought about it. I think it could go either way, but I think I might pick Julia. I think
Okay.
it's time for a change.
Statlander
It
just
may
barely got the belt.
Yeah,
Yep,
it just
she
makes
did.
it makes for a short range for Chris Statlander, but I gotta be honest, I wasn't a fan of her before, really, and she had her time off. She's come back, and she ditched the whatever that was, the robot thing or the alien thing that she did, and I'm not really sure what her thing is now, but whatever her thing is now has not really impressed me. Um,
Her,
I'm
her
not sure she was. I'm not sure she was intended to be a transitional champion, but I think it could work out that way.
Julia's red hot, and
She is.
Statlander isn't.
No.
And that's really what it comes down to is sometimes you have to call the audible. Tony hasn't been good about that. The TBS
Hmm.
title suffered under Jade as a result.
Yes. Yes.
So,
And
mhm.
and a good heel. This could be a really good heel run, a legit heel run.
Brody as her heater is brilliant
Yes.
because he's legit a monster. And
Hmm.
standing beside her gives her huge presence, makes her, if she is champion, legitimately difficult to beat. She's started to do a really nice looking moonsault. She had a transition against not Willow, but the previous match, where she did a little weird backhand, or not back handspring, but sort of like a back roll or whatever, into a moonsault. And then she started to flow in the ring. She started to be really mean and dominant in the ring. She's improved 1,000,000%. She could easily be TBS champion. Jay, what do you think about Julia beating Stat and Stat having such a short title reign?
I think it doesn't necessarily have to hurt Statlander, especially if she doesn't lose clean. And Statlander could pivot and go after and defeat Soraya. Statlander's badass. I mean, she could probably kick most of the men's asses in AEW, and I'm not even joking. Like, if you remember the mixed tag matches, she like hitting people with 450s, and she just can kick ass. So I think she could pivot and go after the other title, and then let this be Julia's title for Collision. So I think that would be fine. I don't think it would hurt Statlander too much.
Okay. Scott, who do you think is going to win in the match? Hello?
I think Scott is on mute,
Scott has dropped off.
or he just got a call from one of his clients.
He might have.
Yeah, it could be Joey Ryan could be calling him. To
It's
sue the Elite
probably
Mark
it's
order.
probably Tony.
I think it's Joey Ryan. I think Joey Ryan called him because we brought him up earlier.
Oh,
And
I hope
he's
not.
gonna sue the Elite Mark order for suggesting that he was the man behind the mask. So
Is he going to dick sue us?
he might dick flip us all of us.
Okay.
It would be horrible. Yeah.
Scott, do you still are you still with us? Have we lost you, Scott?
I think we can move on,
Okay.
assuming that Scott's
He'll
microphone
let us
has
know.
failed. Yeah.
He'll let us know.
He'll be all good.
As far as things go, I would love Julia Hart to win. I'm going to pick her to win. However, in the actual predictions, I'm going to keep it on Statlander because honestly, I don't think Tony's going to go with the change yet. I don't think he's got. I mean, there's so much story. He's got Willow with her eye stuff going on. There was a great match on Dynamite. Had storyline. Does Willow turn? Is she affected by the eye damage for longer? Does she become a heel? Potentially, Julia could really change the women's division, start recruiting for the House of Black as the queen of the House of Black. I would love to see something like that, but I don't know. I'm going to say Julia Hart here, but in my heart, I know Chris is keeping it, and that's sad. But something to say?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we
We'll
will.
see.
That's the
It is
great
what
thing
it
about
is.
these.
That's right.
Daughtry called, so I guess Scott had to big time us. So let's talk then about perhaps the next most anticipated match you could possibly think of. And that, of course, would be the ROH and NJPW Strong Double Champion 2-belt Eddie Kittenston versus Shibata. Now, you got to admit, this is probably another one of those matches that Tony's like, who do you want? Okay, go ahead and wrestle him. Because Eddie gets to choose who he wants to wrestle at this point. You know Shibata is one of his legends, I'm sure. What do you think of that match? It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an excellent matchup. It's a dream matchup for Eddie, getting to fight Shibata. I remember when I was at the StarCast video game tournament in 2018, I got to fight Sammy Callahan, the draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I picked Shibata when we were playing in Fire Pro Wrestling. I picked Shibata. And he's like, oh man, he's like, Shibata is one of the guys that I wanted to get in the ring with. And Shibata got hurt bad in 2017, and no one ever thought he was going to fight again.
Never.
And Sammy Callahan, the draw, was saying how, it's unfortunate because Shibata is one of his dream opponents. So Eddie Kingston gets to have this chance. Eddie Kingston gets to fight Shibata. And, Shibata is outstanding. However, Shibata has also had serious trauma. So it will be interesting to see how much, Eddie Kingston gets to lay into Shibata here. I don't know how many brain busters we're seeing, shots to the head, or the what is that? What is this avalanche brain buster? For some reason, I can't think of that move right now. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think Eddie retains. Like Eddie losing here would really be frustrating. And Shibata doesn't. It's a part timer. He doesn't need these titles. So yeah, I think it should be a good match. It should be fun for Eddie. It should be a good strong style matchup, and hopefully nobody gets hurt. So
yeah,
that's my take on it.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is this is going to be another hard hitting Japanese strong style match, because that's what Eddie is. That's what he represents. That's what he's bringing with the NJPW Strong Championship. That's just that is Eddie. He is living Kings Road strong style, beat the hell out of you wrestling. Hopefully, nobody gets hurt. That really is the best you can get out of that match. I think they'll beat the living hell out of each other in the safest way possible. And it's probably going to be a backfist, spinning backfist, whatever Eddie calls that move. And mm-hmm.
The Northern Lights bomb is Eddie's what Eddie's basically been using as a finisher. I don't know that we'll see Shibata working that, but it should be a fun match. I'm really looking forward to it, and I just think it's awesome to see Eddie, who's such a All Japan / Noah fan, to just be able to live out his dreams. It's really amazing to see, and it's like we can live vicarious. Those of us who are also
built like Eddie, we can say it. We're built like Eddie.
You can live vicariously through Eddie and watch him live out his dreams.
Yeah,
and it's just great to see. Like Eddie's such a fucking fanboy.
Yep.
Of the Four Pillars of Heaven, and just to see him be able to do all this stuff is just awesome to see. It's just cool stuff.
And this is really a reward for Eddie. He's worked so fucking hard. He's put in his dues. The fans of AEW absolutely love him, rightfully so. His article in the Players, I forget what that was, the Players Report or whatever it was. I think that was that got him over so much with the audience because he's so real and authentic. You got to absolutely love Eddie Kingston. There's no way he loses this belt. This is a showcase match. This is him going out there and having fun and getting to be Eddie Kingston on camera.
Yeah, I mean, the only way he loses is if Shibata comes out with the kitten, and then I think that that would just spell the end for Eddie. But I don't know if Shibata's going to do that. I don't think he will. So I think Eddie's good.
Yeah, I'm with you. If he came out, and he would totally be distracted if he had a kitten in a cage match. I think that's probably how he's going to end up losing the ROH title, is
That's right.
they'll have a kitten in a cage match, and
Right.
Eddie won't be able to concentrate. So good for Eddie. I really do think that that's going to be a hell of a match. But speaking of a hell of a match, I also think that there's going to be a little bit of intrigue going into the Christian Cage Darby Allin match. Now, that one happens to be for the actual TNT Championship that Christian Cage finally holds. Do you think he gives it up to Darby Allin so quickly? I mean, he just won it, even though he's been defending it successfully this whole time.
Is there a stipulation like Luchasaurus is banned from ringside or
Yep.
something?
Yep.
So Luchasaurus is banned. It doesn't mean that Nick Wayne can't interfere and cost Darby the title. It's interesting that it's a it's the best 2 out of 3 falls.
True.
That makes it kind of curious. And then, I don't know. I just think that something significant is going to happen in this match. I do think Christian retains.
Mm-hmm.
Darby winning here just seems to go back to Darby having the title and he's going to lose it soon because Darby's going to go climb Mount Everest
True.
soon. He's already prepping for that trip.
True.
And that's going to take months. Like, it's not going to be a quick thing. And I hope Darby makes it through that okay, because not everyone comes back from a Mount Everest climb.
A lot of people
Right.
don't come back.
So it's very dangerous. So I don't think Darby's going to win here, and I think something's going to happen with Nick Wayne. Maybe Nick Wayne stays and accidentally costs Darby, but yeah, it should be a good match with some good storyline here.
You think maybe Luchasaurus torches Nick Wayne in the back, causes some sort of distraction for Darby, or just runs off and gets counted out?
I mean, that could happen. I guess the other possibility here is Edge.
Right.
There's all the talk of Copeland showing up.
Sexton Hardcastle himself.
Yep. So I don't know.
So okay, let's see. If Edge were to actually show up, he would definitely come in and interact with Christian. There's no question. Does that help Christian? Does he cause Christian to lose? How does that interaction work out? And does that actually elevate the TNT Championship? I don't think it helps.
Well, I mean, if Darby fails and Edge comes in and Edge challenging Christians and wins it, that certainly elevates the title.
Okay.
By putting it on a former WWE heavyweight champion.
Yeah. And then Edge gets to showcase it while he's there, gets to have a nice fun run, loses it, and then does whatever afterwards that legends in AEW do. He takes on a mentor or a mentee and joins a tag team or a trios and stands in the background and looks menacing. Or he goes back to trying to be an actor. I think maybe a short run with the TNT title for Edge would be a good choice. I think if he comes out and messes with Christian, but Christian still wins, maybe that's a way to do it.
Yeah. I still like our idea from a couple weeks ago where Edge and Christian come out with Gangrel and they reform the Brood. And go after the trios title. So maybe Darby does win and Edge, helps Christian out of the gutter after this. We'll see.
Oh, you know what? He's going to give him a kitten. He's going to give Christian a kitten, and it'll be Kitten Cage again, and Sex Kitten Hardcastle, and they're going to go after the tag titles, the trios, with Gangrel, who's
there you go.
He's going to be a werewolf. He's not a vampire anymore. Now he's a werewolf.
Right.
He just changed. He just changed. It's okay. Character change. It happens. He's got fuzzy ears now. That's it. That's his whole character. He's got fuzzy ears. It's weird. All right. So that's Christian, Darby Allin. Let's talk a little bit about a non-title match. Let's talk about probably one of the best matches of the night. And because it's not for a title, you know for a fact I am not talking about Wheeler Yuta versus Ricky Starks. I am talking about Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. We should have had this a year ago.
Yeah, that was the plan, I believe. And I'm
At
still
Forbidden Door
surprised
1.
yeah, and I'm still surprised we didn't get this match at All In, where it would have made perfect sense. But Tony apparently felt like he could sell tickets for WrestleDream with this matchup, so here it is. So Zack Sabre got robbed, in front of 80,000 or 70,000 or 90,000, depending on what branch of the UK government you believe, based on the Freedom of Information Act over there.
It was the same branch of government. It was okay. I'm gonna go over this real quick because he brought it up. The 82 was like tickets sold or whatever. The 72 apparently was supposed to be from a particular branch of the government that controls that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. They said it was like 72 or whatever. Then a letter gets released by somebody who, Freedom of Information Act again, just flat emails the dude. And this is the like executive director, whatever. This is the dude that runs it. His name, his signature, all of it is in this email. And he says, legitimately, 79,000 people were there. Okay, maybe that includes comps, etc. Or no, it was 85. Sorry, not 79. It was 85,000 people actually showed up. 85,000. Well over the 82,000 announced. All the comps. Okay, great. Near capacity. 90,000 is capacity. It was 85,000 people showed up, according to, apparently, the director of the department that wasn't quoted last. I mean, it was quoted the first time, but this is like a legit letter from the dude. There's so much controversy, and poor Will Ospreay got himself a tattoo of it. That's hysterical.
That he did.
That is hysterical. But Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be a great match. It'll be a lot of fun. Do you think Danielson loses to Zack? Is this...
I don't think Danielson's losing. I think
the
Tony
end.
wants to. I don't think Tony wants. I think Tony wants to put the heavyweight strap on Danielson at some point. So I think this might be a ride for him, starting to put together a win streak. He did lose quite a few matches.
He did.
But I do think this might be part of the rise of Danielson to win the heavyweight title. I do think Tony wants Danielson, who's going to hang it up at the end of the year from wrestling full time. Well, not that he's really full time right now, anyways. But he mentioned that he wants to spend more time with his family. So it's like, if he's going to win that title, now's the time to do it. It's got to be this year.
Yeah, it's the only time left.
Yeah, so it's like, if maybe, I guess it depends how Jay White MJF thing's going to go. Maybe we get Danielson versus MJF at Full Gear, and Danielson retires on top. I don't know.
I agree with you. I agree with you that Danielson needs to win to end his career. I think this last year, this stretch, I don't think he's going to lose very often. I think that's a really safe bet that he's going to get the capstone. Will he get a heavyweight title out of it? He absolutely could. I don't think Danielson himself wants it. I think TK's going to find a way to give it to him. I think it will be a short run, and I think he'll give it immediately back over to someone. He won't be a transitional. I think he'll win it, and then like the next pay-per-view cycle, lose it again. Like just bam, bam, turn around and lose it.
Or even just retire and relinquish the title for a tournament or something like that.
Oh, that title, though. That title's been through interim titles and so much. Maybe do that with the International Championship. Maybe he goes out on top with the International and retires with that.
Not the same, but
no,
maybe.
It's not. But right now, the International Championship is pretty damn hot, even on Rey Fenix, who has the similar sort of, is he going to win every match versus Mox, who, when is he going to lose? There's a big difference in that. And, I agree with you. You said last week that Rey Fenix sort of, you don't know if he's going to win week to week. And I think that's good for the title.
It is good for the title.
So
it makes for wrestling matches that you want to watch. Like if you
Yeah.
know who's gonna win, it takes a lot out of it.
Mox has become a little, I think overexposed was the term you used.
Yeah.
I think this concussion ultimately may help his character as long as it's not, as long as it's not super bad. It doesn't sound like it was, but concussions are weird. They're really weird. You gotta give him a chance to clear. Tony doesn't fuck around with them anymore. Adam Cole taught him a big lesson. So hopefully everybody comes out of this looking good. And Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. should be phenomenal. I know we're gonna have a great time watching it no matter who wins. And those two are gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah, it should be a hell of a match. I was just looking at the Wrestling Observer Awards for Best Technical Wrestler. This award started in 1980 when Bob Backlund was the first to win it. Fast forward to 2002, Kurt Angle won it. And then in 2003 and 4, Chris Benoit won this Best Technical Award. But then, since 2004, there's only been 2 guys who have won the Best Technical Wrestler Award.
Kenny Omega?
Brian Danielson
Yeah.
won the award from 2005 to 2013.
Wow.
9 years in a row. And because of that, Dave Meltzer renamed the award the Brian Danielson Award.
Ooh.
Then, after Danielson won the WWE title but went out with his neck injury or concussion injury, Danielson wasn't an active wrestler, and Zack Sabre Jr. won the award in 2014.
That's why.
He won it again in 15 and 16 and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20 until Daniel Bryan returned to AEW. And that is when Daniel Bryan won the award in 21 and 22. So only 2 guys have won it since 2004, and they're facing off against each other to prove who is the better technical wrestler. I would love to see Zack Sabre Jr. go over here. He's a lot younger. He could use the rub. And Zack Sabre is actually fighting Will Ospreay in the UK about 2 weeks after the pay-per-view for the US/UK New Japan title. So Zack Sabre does have a high-profile matchup coming up against Will Ospreay for that big New Japan title. So I don't know. I'd love to see Ospreay win. I'm sorry. I'd love to see Zack Sabre win, but I think Danielson's going to win. I think Danielson's getting a bit of a push here, and Danielson can always lose to Zack Sabre in the future. So
Fair enough.
Well, this is Danielson's farewell tour.
We were talking about that before you came back. Welcome back, Scott.
Yeah, sorry, I had to skip out for a little bit.
It happens.
No problem.
Life happens. But Jay and I were talking about how Danielson's starting his final year, and we're talking about how he's going to win it out. It sounds like you kind of think that maybe he should start winning now, and Jay's talking about maybe delaying it a couple of wins because people like Zack Sabre Jr. deserve wins over somebody like Danielson before Danielson retires.
I mean, he could put people over for sure.
He's
And I
been
think that's
doing
his
that.
nature anyway.
Yeah,
He's been doing that. So I mean, look, it also could be I'm just going to have a year of really, really great matches, and that could be that could be its own reward.
It's going to be a great match. There's no question. Nobody is ever. I mean, this may be one of the 6, 7, 12-star matches from Meltzer because these are, as Jay clearly enumerated, the 2 best technical wrestlers in the world, according to Meltzer, and according to most people.
not according to Meltzer, but according to Wrestling Observer subscribers. They're the ones who vote on the awards, not Dave.
Right. Sorry. So
no
subscriber
problem.
base, but same thing.
Yes.
It's crowdsourced versus one guy's opinion, so that matters.
And what's amazing is a guy like me had never heard of Zack Sabre Jr. until I started watching AEW, to where then you would actually see him and hear about him, and so that says a lot.
He's another one of those wrestlers that I've heard about for a long time. Like, okay, cool, he's in Japan. I'm not watching Japan. I have a tough time getting into it. The announcers never caught me for English, and I can't watch it without announcing. Just watching it in Japanese announcing, I just can't get into it. So I've heard the name Zack Sabre Jr. I've heard Will Ospreay. I heard Kenny Omega, Young Bucks. Now I finally get to see him because of AEW, and I'm very glad because these are some pretty goddamn good wrestlers, and they didn't want to go to WWE, and for most of them for really good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So let's Scott, who do you think is going to win between Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson?
Well, now that we've discussed how much he deserves it, probably, and how it will help him and elevate him, and you never know what's going to go on with Tony's big announcement, I could see Danielson putting him over.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your ultimate choice there, Jay?
I think I'm going to go with Danielson.
Okay.
Although it's like a 60-40 type deal. I would love to see Zach win, but I do also want to see Danielson get pushed. I do want to see Danielson win the title in AEW before he retires or goes part time. So I don't know. I think it makes sense for Danielson to win here as well.
I'm going to say, in my heart, Danielson's going to win. I think Zack Sabre Jr. absolutely 100% deserves it, and Danielson putting him over would make his career. I think it makes sense. But he does have a year. And if Danielson, say next year, by the time Forbidden Door comes around, he's still working for the company, and he's the champion, and he faces Zack Sabre Jr., maybe then he loses. I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities. So,
Or he gets the win back.
Sure.
On the way out.
Maybe he gets the win back. It's hard to know. I'm going to say Danielson also because I think it makes sense to build him up right now because Zach has the future ahead of him. And as much as it makes sense to give Zach the win, I think I'm going to vote Danielson because Zach has, a few more pay-per-views. He can get that back. New Japan works very closely with AEW. I don't think it's a big surprise that they should work together at Forbidden Door next year, or even All In next year. Something big like that. So there's all sorts of possibilities before Bryan bows out. We don't know the actual date he's going to quit. He simply said his daughter and her age. So, maybe he pushes it. You never know.
You said in a recent interview that I saw on Twitter today, they said, so what are you looking at doing? He's like, what I want to do is, I just want to show up at some indie show, and I don't want the promoter to give me any publicity. I just want to go to that indie show and just have a match. He's like, maybe I wear a mask, maybe nobody knows who I am. And you think back of the Infinito character that he played on AW Dark a couple times.
Yeah.
But
he was badass.
He's like, that's what I want to do. He's like, I just don't want to be known. I don't want any publicity. I just want to wrestle because I love wrestling. So it's kind of a cool take.
Yeah. I mean, when Bryan Danielson hangs up his shoes, it is a legendary career that he is giving up. He's going to do it for his family. He's going to wrestle here and there, but he's going to work for AEW, guaranteed, because he loves wrestling. He doesn't know anything else. He can't do anything but talk and live and breathe wrestling. So I think he's going to stick around as a producer. I think he's going to grow into the position. Tony Khan's already said, Bryan Danielson is the heir apparent. If something happens to me, he runs the company. So, that's quite a statement. I think Collision is his show now, and I think that's what's going to keep him motivated after he retires. But Danielson for the win is what I'm going with this one. I think it's going to be a phenomenal match, certainly a 5-star potential. If it's not at least 5 stars, I would be surprised. It may be more, depending on what happens in that match. Let's talk a title match. Let's talk MJF solo, 1-on-1 versus 2 versus the Righteous. The big storyline. Does the Masked Man get involved? What do you think, JV, is going to happen with the MJF versus Righteous match? We've talked a little bit about it already.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's super open ended. MJF could win. MJF could lose. We don't know if Adam Cole's hurt for real or if he's healthy. We don't know who the guy with the or why they attacked Jay White. And there's just so many different things that can happen. I don't know. It's hard. It's when you look at like these, there's like a bunch of different paths they can take. They all make they're all leading to interesting storylines. So it's almost like you're flipping you're rolling a three-sided die, where yeah, each each result has the same probability of happening. So it's really hard to say like, oh, well, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. I think MJF should lose the titles if Adam Cole's really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then if Adam Cole is not hurt, then I think it would make sense for MJF to retain. I do want to see MJF move out of this tag title thing, because he's the heavyweight champion and should be having heavyweight. It's frustrating to go into a pay-per-view where your heavyweight champion is competing for a tag team title for a different promotion.
It's secondary.
What the fuck? So it's like it seems like there could be a much better draw to sell pay-per-views than what's happening right here. So if they do lose the titles, it's good in a way. However, I still think they should continue the team. So yeah, I'm hoping MJF loses. But as for all this other storyline stuff, I don't know. There's so many possibilities that I can't really, make a prediction on what's going to happen.
I mean, ROH titles are literally secondary titles. Let's not kid anybody.
Yeah, ROH is definitely secondary. Yeah,
there's no question about that. So
for sure.
I agree. MJF should lose the titles to a team if Cole is legitimately hurt for a long time. Is the Righteous the correct choice? I don't think so. I think it should be the Kingdom. I think it should be Taven and it should be Bennett and it should continue that storyline. But we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the Righteous are combined with the Kingdom somehow. Or where's Stu Grayson? Why is he not part of the Righteous? So they haven't had any TV time. They haven't connected with the audience. I don't think the Righteous winning the ROH titles would benefit the titles or the Righteous or MJF. That's 100% the wrong choice for me for this match. I think MJF retaining the titles in this match sells the story well, but he's got to lose them soon. Not necessarily at a pay-per-view, certainly on a Dynamite or a Collision. Absolutely, he should lose them. But to who is the question? I'm going to say MJF wins this. Scott, do you have any thoughts on this?
They did that big video package with the Righteous, and I mean, they're really trying to build them up and, tell us all about who they are. So it does seem like they're getting attention and they're being viewed as important. Now, it may be that it's just enough for them to have, a good performance against MJF, and maybe there's some shenanigans that protect them a little bit. I don't think we know enough about them for them to just come in and win the titles.
Right.
Although of course we have the example of Jade Cargill, right? Who just kind of came in and won the TBS championship and had it for, 80 some matches or whatever it was.
And the Righteous aren't brand new. They've been around at ROH for a while, just not on AEW TV.
Yeah. So, but my point is, what point does it serve for them to win the titles on AEW and then go back to ROH where nobody's going to see them? Mm-hmm. So it's a way to elevate them and maybe get them some attention, unless maybe they're going to make the jump to AEW. That's possible too. I don't know that it serves the story best for MJF to drop to them.
Right.
I'm not sure that I'm with you, Cosmic. I don't think they're the right team, but I do think that there is a purpose being served by having them be the first team.
Sure. Absolutely. I think getting them airtime, getting them on his pay-per-view, giving them TV time, absolutely introduces them and gets them established in the mind of the audience. Not a problem. Have them have a great match, but MJF, being the world champion, should be able to win. Maybe with shenanigans, maybe Adam Cole helps him out. Who knows? But I definitely think that they should not win this match. So
No.
that's just the way to go. Let's talk a little bit about, say, a little title, not even a title match, a little 6-man tag match with the strangest of people, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and Kota Ibushi versus Konosuke Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will Ospreay, the Callis family. I'm not sure about this match. I know you certainly have quite a bit to say about this, Jay. What are your feelings about another 6-man match for Kenny Omega?
Of course, I'm not happy that Kenny's stuck in another trios match. His bread and butter is singles matches, and he should be at the top of the card.
Yeah.
However, this trios match is pretty awesome. It's pretty wild. It's great to see the Golden Lovers teaming up again, and it's great to see Chris Jericho teaming with them. It's going to be interesting to kind of set the table for this match. Kenny and Jericho have a match on Collision. They're going to be fighting the Gates of Agony.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to watching that tomorrow night. And, maybe we'll see Kenny and Jericho do some kind of a double team move as a finisher that we could maybe see them try and pull off against their rivals here. So
Who do you think they are? Who do you think they are? MJF and Cole?
Well, I think it's going to be cool. It's going to be great to see Kenny and Ospreay square off again. I think it's awesome that Ospreay was added to this match along with Sammy and Takeshita. It's just going to be an incredible match. I mean, I really, really, really am looking forward to this trios match.
Okay.
It's going to be a ton of fun. I want to say at some point Kenny needs to start winning again. But I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I think it's anyone's match, and we'll see what happens.
Fair enough. Scott, what's your take? I know you're not big on the Japanese wrestlers like myself, but I know you know Takeshita, you know Ibushi now. What do you think of the Golden Lions, or is it the Golden Wizards? What is the Golden team name when you add in Chris Jericho? Scott, what do you think about the match?
I don't know what to think about it, really. It's clearly aimed at focusing on Don Callis and the Callis family and the people who he's betrayed.
Yeah.
It's everybody there has a through line with Don Callis. Does it make sense for, Kenny's side to win? I guess. But I don't know. You've got Ospreay. I mean, it's going to be a great match.
Yeah.
Even though it's a 6-man, it's going to be a great match. I think it's anybody's guess. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Callis, with his heel faction now, they're going to win.
Sure.
It probably won't be clean. There'll probably be shenanigans.
Sure.
I would go 60-40. It's going to be Callis's family.
I can't disagree. The young, hungry Lions, the Alpha Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, I don't know, he looks sort of like Scarface now. I'm not sure what he's going with. And Will Ospreay, who's the British Chav. I think those guys all are the future, which is why Callis is with them. And they absolutely could use a win over the likes of 3 legends like Omega, Jericho, and Ibushi. I think it would do a tremendous amount for the Callis family to get a win here. And with Callis on the outside, I see no reason why somebody like Jericho wouldn't take a pin. I see no reason why Kenny Omega couldn't get another screwdriver to the forehead from Takeshita to continue their feud. Or Kota Ibushi gets, I don't know, hidden bladed by Ospreay just because. I doubt Ibushi's taking the pin. It's probably Jericho. It might be Omega. But it only makes sense for Callis to win for Team Callis, for House Callis to take this match, to continue the feud and continue Kenny Omega's loss and the rise of the Callis family. So, Jay, did you get your fill of talking about the Golden Lion lovers, wizards?
Lions and wizards.
The Golden Lion Wizards.
What are you smoking tonight, Scott?
It's actually called actually it is called Las Vegas Bubba Kush, but the fact is the Golden Lion Wizards, I think, is what I'm settling on. The Golden Lion Wizards, because Lionheart Wizard.
I do think Kenny really needs a win here. I would really like for Ibushi to be involved more on television.
Yeah. And Osprey.
Osprey's booked with Osprey is signed to New Japan. Ibushi is signed to nobody, so I would really like to see him invest some time trying to get over on US TV. I wish it was the Golden Lovers fighting on Collision against the Gates of Agony or whatever the fuck ROH team Tony is making them fight. I would I think one of my biggest dream matches right now would be the Golden Lovers versus FTR. I think the Golden Lovers having a tag team run in AEW and going for the titles, fucking incredible. It would be golden, just like the Golden Elite, just like the Golden Trigger, just like the Golden Star Kota Ibushi. Sorry, JR, that's why they say it's golden. I mean, I know it's hard to read and to spend like 30 seconds reading about the fucking wrestlers for the match.
He worked in Japan. He knew those wrestlers.
No, he doesn't know Kota Ibushi.
Whatever.
Ibushi, he doesn't know. He doesn't remember him.
He clearly doesn't.
No. And when he was calling the matches in Japan, he couldn't even tell the difference between Nick and Matt Jackson. So,
Speaking of,
JR doesn't pay attention.
Speaking of, you were super upset that the Young Bucks weren't getting any wins TV time, and they have two of the best matches on fucking Dynamite.
Yeah,
and Nick won. Nick won.
It was great to see. Yeah, Nick got the big win. Yes, he did.
You got to admit,
he seemed as surprised as anybody.
Yeah, he did. I'll tell you, there was a backstage story that Nick Jackson showed up that day without his gear because he didn't expect to wrestle, and he got told, "You're wrestling," and he wins the match. That's funny.
That is pretty funny.
But yeah, no, I love the fact that Nick Jackson got his shot, and he's going to wrestle Penta he's going to wrestle Phoenix for the international title on the 4th anniversary. They had a great singles match a while ago. I think they're going to tear the fucking house down with that match. And Matt Jackson, part of an incredible 4-way match. He didn't win, but he sure got to shine. That was another great match. The Code Red combos with everybody against Colton, Austin, the short gun.
Colton.
No. Yeah. I don't know. The short one. I don't fucking care is the problem. He was the ass boy. He was the butt monkey. He was the butt of all the jokes. He took all the combo stuff. It was a fun, entertaining match. I loved it. And the Young Bucks were on television, and one of them even got to win. They got no promo time, but they were on television, and one of them got to win. So you can't complain about that too much this week, Jay. Too much.
Yep. I can't. No, it was good to see the Bucks on. They're not. I will say they're not in a tag team match though. So we did not see the Young Bucks in a tag match. So
right. And
yeah, it was Austin is the shorter gun. Austin was in the tag match.
Okay, well, good because he did all right.
It was funny with him fucking not being able to pull off any moves, and everyone else did his destroyer, and he couldn't fucking pull out. He kept getting back body dropped. It was pretty funny. It
was a series of great moves, and I really enjoyed the match. Quite honestly, I didn't care who won. I mean, I did because of the predictions, but I honestly, I was just having a great time. Orange Cassidy, of course, won. It was fantastic, but
right.
I just, in general, had a great time with that match. And you know what also is going to be a great time? FTR versus Aussie Open. Aussie Open has not had a chance to shine, But FTR is going to goddamn well make sure they do. Because they will put on a fucking classic. They like Aussie Open, so they're going to work their asses off with them. They work their asses off no matter what, but it means they have good chemistry. I think Aussie Open's finally going to get the chance to shine, but I don't think they're going to win. I think FTR keeps it here. Scott, what do you know about Aussie Open? What do you feel about this match?
I've seen them a couple of times. They're impressive. I'm not sure they're ready to win this. I think FTR retains.
Fair enough. They were ROH title holders. They have had that experience. You don't think they're ready for the world title in AEW?
I don't think they are.
What would it take to get them over for you?
Well, I think this match will elevate them. I'm sure it'll be a good match.
So you think they need to connect more with the audience before they earn a title?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
And
it's not like xenophobic or anything, but and frankly, the same could be said about Will Ospreay. I mean, people just don't really connect and know them quite yet. It's a process, and I think this is probably part of the process of elevating them and giving them opportunities, but I don't see them winning.
Aussie Open has had more opportunity to be on TV wrestling than Will Ospreay, primarily because he's still, New Japan, and they're signed. But they are a good group. We may see them unite once Will leaves New Japan, if Will leaves New Japan. But Aussie Open, they haven't really connected with the fans. They've had a couple of fun matches. They've got a couple of good spots. But I don't know that AEW fans know them that well. They may know them after this if FTR does what FTR does and they have a classic match. Potentially a 5-star match. FTR has done it before. Jay, what are your thoughts on Aussie Open? I know you're much more familiar with them than either Scott or myself.
Aussie Open's an excellent team, and I look forward to them teaming up with Ospreay if Ospreay decides to sign with AEW at the end of the year. I do think that most fans know how great Ospreay is. Ospreay is considered by many to be the best wrestler in the world today, because he's healthy enough to wrestle, 5-star matches and then come back and wrestle one in a week, as to Kenny or Okada, who needs to take, some significant time off after wrestling a crazy matchup that just takes so much out of him. I don't think there's any question that Ospreay is the number one wrestler in the world today. Nobody can match his rate or his technical ability in the ring. I mean, the guy is just ridiculous, and he's killing it. As I mentioned, he's got a big match against Zack Sabre Jr. coming up in 2 weeks in the UK. He'll be defending the UK New Japan that on Japan. I don't know how I went from talking about the Open to Ospreay, but they are all United Empire.
That's how.
Anyhow, I do think FTR wins. I don't think Aussie Open has any chance of winning. 0.
Yeah.
But I do think FTR is going to make Aussie Open look like the best team in the world. So I think they're going to make Aussie Open look great. And I think this will only help us. So I'm glad they get this opportunity on a pay-per-view, and it should be one hell of a match.
And I think that's by design. This is FTR going to get Aussie Open over. That's great to see. I love to see that. So I think FTR is going to take the house and burn it right the fuck down with another great match. Scott, do you have any closing or any comments about FTR versus Aussie Open that you want to?
You don't have to go over to get over.
Takeshita did it. Okay, that's fair enough. We only have 2 more matches that we can talk about for the pay-per-view, so let's just kind of go through them real quickly. Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. I think it's been built up fairly well. I think it's going to be a good match. They're excellent wrestlers. I don't think Swerve gets the win unless there's massive shenanigans from the Mogul Embassy. Hangman Page has got his friends, so maybe there's bigger shenanigans brewing. But I'd like to see just a clean win from Hangman Page on Swerve and maybe continue the feud a little longer. If Swerve gets the win, I wouldn't mind, but I am going with Hangman Page. It's been a good build-up. I know, Jay, you haven't really been super excited about this match, but I think they're going to put it on for the pay-per-view.
I think it'll be an excellent match. Swerve and Hangman are both super talented. I've probably the most interesting thing on Dynamite last week was besides the who was behind the mask that attacked Jay White. I think after that, the most interesting thing was the promo between Swerve and Hangman. A lot of people said that Swerve's performance in that interview in the contract signing was a miss. And I kind of agree. Swerve didn't really bring anything to the table, but Hangman did say a lot of interesting stuff, specifically around the cloud being over him, which was clearly a CM Punk reference.
Yeah,
And
I
how
love that. That was
yeah,
so good.
yeah, and how now that cloud is gone, and he was able to survive the storm, and it's no longer raining. And then I did like how Swerve said, "Well, it rains in Seattle a lot."
Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice dig at Seattle. So, yeah, I think I don't know. I just feel like Hangman. I think Hangman is going to take the loss here to help build up
Okay.
Swerve. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hangman did get the win, because I feel like a loss is going to hurt Hangman a lot more than it's going to hurt Swerve. Right? Swerve can come back from it more than Hangman can, because Hangman's been in question. He hasn't been on TV a lot. He doesn't seem to have his direction. He's that angsty cowboy again, complaining, and some people are saying he was acting like a baby, complaining about CM Punk's presence and how he couldn't deal with it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be good. I did like Hangman's promo. That's who Hangman is. He's always been kind of uncertain. He's never been like overconfident, and yeah, I think he played well.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that I definitely think that it's going to be fun. Scott, do you have any comments or thoughts about the Swerve Page match coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see Hangman winning. I think he needs it more.
Okay.
I think it serves his story to have kind of a comeback victory. I think Swerve, since he's not on top yet, can eat the loss. I'm hoping that it's a good enough match that it continues to keep people interested in Swerve, because I do think he is another one who is the future. But I don't think he needs to beat Hangman in order to be on a path. I don't think that. I think Swerve underperformed at the table promo, at the contract signing, and I really think that Hangman knocked it out of the park. Actually, I mean, I made some statements offline, but it was the line that Swerve had, which was basically, well, like, I just have to make myself hate people because that's the only way that I'm going to get to be where I should be, which is where you should be. Whatever it was, I don't know where it came from, but it felt very convoluted and very just not real. And I expected more out of Swerve. I've seen him better than that in promos, and I don't think it was by design. I just think it happened.
Sure. Everybody has a bad promo. Happens.
Yeah, and I think he had an off night. I think Hangman had a good night.
Yeah.
And barring some shenanigans, I think Hangman wins.
Fair enough. And realistically, it's going to be a fun match. That's all I care about. The feud should continue, no matter who wins. Doesn't matter who wins, because the feud should continue, and they should build themselves up. It could conceivably be The Rock versus Stone Cold, a rivalry that just keeps building them both up and up until they're world champions. Or it could be, like Boss Man Big Show. Hell in a Cell dog match. Dog cage. No, wait, that wasn't Big Show. That was Al Snow. Anyways, Let's talk about probably the fastest match on the night, Ricky Starks beating Wheeler Yuta. JV, what's your reason for Ricky Starks winning?
Oh my god. There's been a lot of heat on Tony for booking this match.
This is a Moxley replacement match.
WrestleDream,
Fuck them.
Starks versus fucking Wheeler Yuta. It's like, this is a Rampage match.
It's
And,
a
I mean,
replacement
that's
match.
not
It's a
true.
replacement match.
It's not true. Wheeler Yuta is a good wrestler. I think this is it's gonna surprise everyone. Really good match. Tony's going to tell those guys to go out and put on, do your best effort. You go out and do whatever the fuck you can to get a 5-star match out of this. They won't be able to do it because the crowd's just not going to be invested enough, but it's going to be a really good.
Okay.
It is what it is. So
it's the fact that Moxley got hurt and Starks was probably going to have a match with somebody. He keeps losing his opponents. So, it's a fine match. It's a filler match. Great. You know what? You don't have to have a great match on every single fucking part. You could have a slightly lesser pay-per-view match. Scott, tell me, why do you think Ricky Starks wins versus Wheeler Yuta?
Because he has to. He just lost a match to Bryan Danielson, although it was a very good match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a way this is some payback. I'm expecting to see some blood.
Oh yeah.
I think Yuta is more than happy to bleed. He's shown that in the past. I think Ricky has developed to where he's more than happy to bleed. I think this is going to be a sleeper of a match. I think it's going to be a better match than people think.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to bring it. I think there's going to be some crimson, and I think Ricky has to win and will win. But I think, there have been these threads, if you've noticed, where, especially with Claudio, Yuta is kind of acting like, they beat the crap out of me and it makes me better. And it's almost like he's, like the Stockholm syndrome.
Kind of.
It seems to be going on there. And so I think when Yuta loses, that may have ramifications for him with the BCC or somebody within the BCC. And it's also this whole notion of, you got to bleed with us to be with us. Who knows? Ricky wins and maybe they decide to toss Yuta aside and bring Ricky. I mean, they could go in a lot of directions
Sure.
for Ricky. But I think Ricky is on the rise. He's a compelling personality. He's shown that he's willing to do just about anything that's necessary. Yeah. I think it's going to be a great match. I am surprised that people are acting like this is just shoddy booking and whatever, replacement match. I think it's a brilliant substitute. I think it's going to work.
Fair enough. Obviously, nobody expects Yuta to win, nor should they. This is to build Ricky. It is to give him a pay-per-view win. It is to give him a high profile. Somebody I was listening to podcasts, etc. earlier, and I forget who it was, but they said this is a chance to reestablish Ricky Starks. He was just wrestling Bryan Danielson, one of the best in the world, certainly a legendary. Looked great but lost, passed out to him twice. He's going to prove he's above where Wheeler Yuta is. Maybe he's below Danielson, but he's got to prove he's situated above, higher in the card than Yuta. They've got to bring it in this match. Ricky, especially, has got to bring it in this match to show it wasn't Danielson who was great in that match. It was him, and that he was able to stay with Danielson. He's got to. If he doesn't perform, I can't imagine the heat. But that's pretty much the pay-per-view. Jay, your microphone has had some serious issues. It's been cutting out. Scott, have you heard that?
I have heard that.
Yeah. As a result, I don't think I need to continue this. We've gone through all the predictions. Jay, some of your best parts got cut out, so this is going to suck.
What do you mean? What parts were cut out?
As you were speaking, every now it would just sort of cut. it was like your microphone was disconnecting temporarily. It was impossible to predict or talk about. I didn't bring it up because I was just hoping that it would stop. But Scott,
Okay.
you
Well,
heard
I'll
it too.
check
So
I'll check the other recording and see what was going on there. I wonder, because I had my fan on. I wonder if my fan might have been
I don't know.
causing some problems. So,
But
I did hear a little something in the background there. If that's your fan, maybe that was doing something, but I don't know why a fan would do that.
yeah.
right.
But that being said, I'm going to thank you, everybody, for listening. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit subscribe, like, share, do all that fun stuff. Go over to elitemarkorder.com, click join the Discord. Do what you got to do. We love to hear from you. Once again, this has been our WrestleDream predictions for the Elite Mark Order. JJ for life.